with the president. We accompanied the president to Glasgow for COP26. And on our way home, we felt, the chief executive officer felt it's important that I pay a visit to this office, given the centrality of the office to the efforts we are making. The deputy minister, who is responsible for lands and forests, has been gracious enough to accompany me here. And this is why we are here. And let me first of all thank the chief executive officer and the office manager, as well as Madam Administrator, for the insight and enlightenment you've given us. It's quite appreciated, and it's broadened my personal horizon when it comes to the business of the London office and the Forestry Commission in general. I just want to make 2 or 3 points. The first one is that, as you may be aware, the president has a special vision for the forestry sector of our country, and you can tell that there's been a beehive of activities relating to this the sector, the Forestry Commission. And today, as I speak to you, we are ready with a memorandum which we are going to present to Cabinet which is going to spell out a plan and a strategy to restore the forest cover of our country. We are doing a whole lot already. The Green Ghana initiative and several other initiatives, how we are protecting rare critical species such as rosewood and the rest. All of those efforts are being ramped up. But the president is instructed, and pursuant to that instruction, the memorandum is ready. We are presenting it to the next cabinet also, which is going to develop a strategy for aggressive afforestation and reforestation to restore the lost forest cover of our country. Part of that strategy is certainly going to be how we're going to attract investors into plantations. And it's so important, especially into plantations of economic trees. So, I mean, for not so much a layperson, having been minister for this sector for a few months, but let's say for a layman's understanding, you have an investor who comes in to say, I'm going to plant timber, have a timber plantation of so much hectares, or rosewood plantation of so much hectares. What kind of public-private partnership we can get into between the government and that investor for that to flourish? Whilst I was in Glasgow, I had the opportunity to meet 2 or 3 of them. They were investors whom I had discussions with, and they are looking at coming to take up plantations and, even prepared for wood species which will take, say, 40, 50 years to mature. But it goes to their credit, and these days, these plantations are put on the market and traded in and so on. So there, the government is expecting, the ministry is expecting that you play this critical role to facilitate that effort, the effort of bringing in investors to get involved in economic plantations. The global effort at coming to grips with climate change and multi-million-dollar companies, multinationals, and the whole effort to get to net zero emissions. These are all areas I think we should take a look at. How are we going to be able to bring these companies into be involved in plantations, and then their emissions can be offsetted from the plantations that they get involved in. I think it's important you do that. I'm pretty convinced you are aware that Cabinet has approved the new wildlife management bill. Oh, yes? Yeah. Yes, the new wildlife management bill was approved by the 17th meeting of the Cabinet, and we are now going to Parliament with it. And I'm very confident and hopeful that we will get this bill passed in Parliament. And that also means that, and as you know, parts of that new bill is to promote ecotourism and to see how far we can leverage the wildlife resources of our country for purposes of tourism. And so I think we should pay critical attention to that as well. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, is the timber industry. We all are fully aware of the importance of timber to our economy, to our national economy, and even it being part of the national heritage of Ghana. But for some reason, through systematic actions and inactions and commissions and omissions over the years, we've lost that industry. Ghana really does not have a timber industry worth its salt again. Timber industry in words, but on the ground, the industry does not exist. And we have at the ministry, in accordance with the thinking of the president, began a very robust effort to revive the timber industry in our country. The deputy minister has just been briefing me that a report of a task force I put together to interrogate the industry in its totality is ready for presentation when we return to Accra. And I believe that you will play a critical role if we are going to revamp this industry. All the linkages of the industry, the full contours of that industry, whether it's at the point of the plantations or the point of the kind of machineries which are required by the people who process the timber and so on and so forth, and also getting private involvement in that sector and all of that. I believe this office is going to play a critical role. So thank you very much for your warm hospitality, and I think that this has been a very useful engagement, and it's just so right that the Chief Executive Officer insisted that we come here, because I believe that the role you will play in all of these efforts we are making is going to be very consequential. And I thank you for the work you're doing, for not for me or President Akufo-Addo or his government.